Hey guys, I'm David, and this is the flip version of the Vanguard PD for Ridgeview Middle School. Now, if you're wondering how I'm doing this video on TouchCast, and TouchCast is a great iPad app for Flip Classroom because it allows you to add pretty much anything to a video, plus it has pretty much all the video tools you would want. Things like green screen, teleprompter, they're all built in, and it's free. So this course, the first one that you're going to do is called iPad Basics. And so this is a place to start. And to start off, this is an iPad. You guys just got these recently in the hands of the faculty, and eventually the kids are all going to get these. So the first thing to note about an iPad is how to turn it on and off. Now, the first thing is you don't really need to turn an iPad off. It goes to sleep pretty much as soon as you quit using it, and it doesn't really drain the power. So there's no real reason to turn them completely off pretty much ever. The only reason that you would really have to do that is in case you have to reset the iPad, which does happen occasionally, but not often. And to turn it on and off, what you would do is you'd hold down what we're going to call the power button at the top and the home button at the bottom. And then it'll give you a little slider. You slide that off and it turns it completely off. So you're basically resetting the iPad. The next thing to know is where's the volume? How do you turn the sound up and down? Well, to turn the sound up and down, there are switches on the side of the iPad that are located pretty much right here. Those switches include a up and down volume, and then there's also a little switch right there that's basically your mute, where you can mute the iPad pretty easily. The next thing is the headphones and power ports. So the headphone jack is up here. It's pretty self-explanatory. You plug in headphones. The power jack, or the sync, which will actually, where you can sync it with your computer, is basically right below the home button. Now, the thing to note about the power is a few years ago, Apple actually changed their power port. So there's an older power port that's it's basically a larger headed plug called the 30-pin connector. And then there's the Lightning one, which all of the Ridgeview faculty iPads are on. It's good to know the difference between the two because you will probably encounter both of them, at least for a while, in the building. Some other things to note. The first thing is up here in the corner, one of the quickest ways to diagnose an issue with the iPad is it on Wi-Fi or not? And there's a little icon, you can barely see it up here. It kind of looks like, it looks like kind of a sound, it looks like a way, like kind of a, it's a bunch of lines on top of each other. And this tells you if you're on Wi-Fi or not. If you see that icon, you are. If you don't see that icon, you're not. The other thing to note up here is the battery icon. The battery icon tells you how much power is left in the iPad. Now, most iPads default to just a picture, but you can change in the settings to see the actual percentage, which is really nice to do usually. Another thing to note here is this, and that's an application. That's something that's been pulled from the App Store to actually let you do something on the iPad. Over here you have a folder, and a folder is a bunch of apps together, and I'll show you in the next slide how to make folders. And then the last but not least, this is actually a URL icon. So you can actually save URLs. For instance, if you had some form you have to fill out all the time, great way to do it, to your iPad screen as icons. Now, moving applications. To rearrange screens, what you would do is hold your finger on an application until it starts to shake. And what you'll see is on these applications right here, right in the corner of them, there's a little X. That'll let you delete them. But what you can also do is you can move those applications on top of each other, which will put them into folders, or you can rearrange your screen to keep it more organized. All right, so to save URLs as apps, go to the URL in Mobile Safari. And if you don't know what Mobile Safari looks like, we'll show you that later. Now, when you get in Mobile Safari, you're going to hit the Share button. And the Share button is this icon right here. It's a square with an arrow pointing up. And then you're going to hit the Add to Home Screen button. And once you do that, it'll add that URL to your home screen in what basically looks like an app icon. The next thing to know is app search. And to get to app search, what you do is you take one finger and you swipe down from the middle of the screen. And the way app search works is that you can type an app name in this box right here, and it'll actually find that app very quickly and give you quick and easy access to whatever apps you have on your iPad. Now, notifications, the way to get to notifications is to swipe down from the top of the screen. And notifications gives you easy access to things like your calendar, your social media notifications, the weather, just all those kinds of things, those quick information that you're looking for. And you can actually customize these settings in the settings app of your iPad. Now, Control Center is what you get when you swipe up from the bottom of the iPad. And the whole idea of Control Center is to give you quick access to some of your most important settings. And we're going to focus on two. The first is this one right here, and that is Wi-Fi. So if you can turn Wi-Fi on and off with that. The second one is right here, and that is AirPlay. And AirPlay, and I'll show you how that works here in a second. AirPlay actually lets you display your iPad wirelessly to your computer. So if your computer's plugged into a projector, then it's wirelessly to your projector. And the way that works is through AirServer. And the original intent of AirPlay on iPads is that you could stream stuff from an iPad directly to an Apple TV. So there are a couple of companies that have figured out, well, we can actually sell a computer program that does that to a computer, and people like teachers will love it because they can stream their iPad wirelessly to their computer. Now, Fulton County does have access to AirServer, so if this is something you want, it's something to ask your school tech about. Now, settings, and the settings icon looks like this down here. Now, in settings, you can generally change quite a few things, but there's two things that we want to really focus on. The first is this one right here, and sorry for my circles, and that's Wi-Fi. And generally, the faculty wants to be on the faculty Wi-Fi network, and you do that by putting in your username and password that you get with the Fulton County network. The students are generally on the Nook network. And now something to note about the Nook network is that password changes monthly. So if you're using iPads at the beginning of the month, it's always good to have an idea of what that password is. That way you can troubleshoot iPads that might have an issue with that. The other thing of note here is this one right here, and that's your mail, contacts, and calendars. And that's how you sync your email and your calendar to your iPad. Now on here, some of the Apple apps. These are generally great places to start if you don't know what to do on an iPad. The first one is here. The whiteboard's giving me troubles today. And that is Mobile Safari, and that's your access to the internet. The second one is right here, and that is Apple's version of PowerPoint called Keynote. Now, with these, you will have access fairly soon to Microsoft apps also. So you will have PowerPoint, Excel, and Word. And so this icon right here, that's Apple's version of Word, and it's called Pages. This one right here is Apple's version of Excel called Numbers. I'll just do this. That one right there is Apple's version of movie editing, and it's called iMovie. It's a great place to start for student projects if you don't know what to do. And then the last one down here is Apple's version of audio editing called GarageBand. And now GarageBand is a great app to do really simple stuff, but you can also do really complicated stuff on there, so it might be something to keep in mind with students. Now, your best way right now to transfer stuff between a student iPad and yours is through Edmodo, which gives you cloud storage. But you'll also have access fairly soon to Microsoft OneDrive and all the Microsoft apps.